Hollywood stars don't usually admit this out loud, especially not in writing, and definitely not in an email that was never meant to be seen by the public. But according to newly unsealed court documents, Blake Lively allegedly sent a private message to Matt Damon saying that working on It Ends With Us nearly killed her. Not during filming, not in an interview, but behind the scenes, in an email chain that also included Ryan Reynolds and Damon's wife. That one sentence alone sent shockwaves through Hollywood. Because this wasn't just stress, it wasn't just exhaustion, and it wasn't just creative frustration. The message was unsealed as part of an ongoing legal battle with the film's director and co-star, Justin Baldoni, and what followed paints a picture far more chaotic than anyone expected. Power struggles, late-night rewrites, allegations of control behind the camera, and a production so tense that one of Hollywood's most recognizable stars felt pushed to the edge. But that email was only the beginning. Because once you see what she claimed happened next, the entire movie starts to look very different. What made this situation explode wasn't a rumor or a leaked clip, it was timing. According to court records, this private email didn't surface randomly. It was unsealed just days before a critical court hearing, instantly turning a behind-the-scenes dispute into a public spectacle. Until that moment, most people had no idea such a message even existed. The email was allegedly written during post-production when pressure is already at its peak. And it wasn't sent to a lawyer or a studio executive. It was sent to Matt Damon and his wife Luciana Damon, a personal reach-out that suggested this was more than just business stress. What caught everyone off guard was who else was included. Her husband, Ryan Reynolds, appeared on the same email chain, not arguing, not escalating, just present. That alone signaled how serious the situation had become inside their personal circle. In the message, Blake Lively reportedly began on a polite note, thanking Matt for even considering watching It Ends With Us and warning him about its sensitive subject matter. Calm, measured, almost careful. And then the tone shifted. What followed was not a marketing pitch or a friendly update. It was a raw admission that insiders say revealed just how overwhelming the experience had become for her behind the scenes. Once that email entered the public record, the story stopped being about a movie release. It became about what really happened during production and why it was kept quiet for so long. And that's where the most shocking line appears. As the email continued, the focus shifted away from exhaustion and toward who she believed was responsible. According to the unsealed message, Blake Lively made a series of allegations about the way the film was run, specifically pointing to Justin Baldoni, who held multiple roles on It Ends With Us. She allegedly claimed that Baldoni wasn't just directing and acting, but also producing, financing, and leading the studio behind the project, a concentration of control she described as overwhelming. In her words, this setup created a situation where creative decisions, authority, and accountability all flowed through one person. The email reportedly goes further, accusing Baldoni of lacking experience for that level of responsibility and allowing personal ego to interfere with the process. These statements are allegations only, and Baldoni has publicly denied wrongdoing, but their inclusion in the email immediately reframed how people viewed the production. What made these claims stand out wasn't just their severity, it was their tone. The message didn't read like a calculated legal document. It read like frustration boiling over after months of tension. The kind of frustration that comes from feeling unheard while still being expected to carry the weight of the project. Industry insiders know that when one person controls too many roles, boundaries can blur. Creative disagreements turn personal, feedback turns into conflict, and according to the allegations in this email, that imbalance is where things began to unravel. But the most surprising part wasn't what she accused him of doing. It was what she claimed she had to do herself to keep the movie moving forward. According to the same unsealed email, this is where the story takes an even more unexpected turn. Blake Lively didn't just describe problems on set, she allegedly claimed she stepped in to fix them herself. In the message, she appears to say that her role quietly expanded far beyond acting. She claimed she rewrote large portions of the script, guided performances, and became a central decision-maker during production, not because she wanted to, but because she felt the project was falling apart. One of the most striking allegations involves the crew. Lively reportedly wrote that members of the film team, including the cinematographer, began coming to her directly when they couldn't get clear direction elsewhere. If true, that suggests a breakdown in leadership behind the scenes and a production running on improvisation rather than structure. Again, these are allegations, not proven facts, but taken at face value, the picture she paints is chaotic, an actor slowly becoming the anchor of the entire operation while still being expected to perform on camera under intense pressure. Hollywood productions aren't built for that kind of overlap. When creative authority isn't clearly defined, confusion spreads quickly, decisions stall, tension builds, and according to the claims in this email, that tension didn't ease, it compounded. What makes this section especially uncomfortable is that none of this was visible to the public at the time. The film moved forward, promotions continued, and audiences saw none of the internal strain allegedly happening behind closed doors. But the pressure didn't stop when filming wrapped. In fact, according to Lively's message, it may have gotten worse once the cameras turned off. If the production itself was tense, the aftermath may have been even worse. According to the unsealed email, Blake Lively claimed that once filming ended, she was pushed into what she described as an impossible situation during post-production. Instead of collaboration, she alleged the process turned into a quiet power struggle over control of the final film. She reportedly wrote that she was given just days to assemble her own edit of It Ends With Us, while another version had already been in development for months. The message suggests she felt set up to fail before the process even began. What made the situation more intense was the timeline. Lively allegedly said she was sleeping barely at all, racing against the clock to finish her cut in time for what she described as a kind of internal showdown between versions, one edit versus the other, one vision against the rest. According to the email, this screening would be her first and only chance to offer feedback before a final decision was made. No revisions, no extended discussions, just one moment to prove her version deserved to exist. She reportedly described the situation as exhausting and chaotic, not the kind of creative tension that produces great work, but the kind that drains people behind the scenes. Hollywood insiders know that post-production is where real power often shows itself. Whoever controls the edit controls the story, and according to Lively's claims, that control was something she was fighting to keep, or possibly fighting not to lose. What's striking is how quiet all of this remained at the time. No leaks, no public disputes, no visible fallout. The audience saw a finished movie. But behind it, according to this email, was a battle that left one of its stars completely worn down. And then, in the middle of all that tension, another voice entered the conversation, one that changed the tone entirely. In the middle of all that tension, the tone of the email suddenly changed. That's when Ryan Reynolds stepped in. According to the unsealed exchange, Reynolds wasn't escalating the situation or adding fuel to the fire. Instead, his message came across as calm, supportive, and noticeably different from the emotional weight surrounding the rest of the email. He reportedly reassured Matt Damon that there was no pressure at all to watch It Ends With Us. He even suggested Damon could access the film privately if he wanted, emphasizing flexibility and understanding rather than urgency. That contrast stood out. While Lively's message described stress, exhaustion, and frustration, Reynolds' response felt like damage control, not for the movie, but for the people involved.
a reminder of boundaries, of family time, of stepping back when things get overwhelming. He also reportedly added a light remark, joking that one day they might make a movie about the making of this movie. On the surface, it sounded harmless, but to many readers, it hinted at something deeper, an acknowledgement that the experience had become unusually intense. What's important here is what Reynolds didn't do. He didn't accuse, he didn't argue, he didn't try to rewrite the narrative. Instead, he softened it. And that matters because it suggests the situation had already reached a point where escalation wouldn't help, only containment. For fans, his involvement confirmed something many already suspected. This wasn't just a professional dispute, it had crossed into personal territory, affecting life beyond the set. And by the time that email was sent, the legal consequences were already in motion.